In this tutorial, we will implement a highly customizable, colorable crosshair device. So you can select many of the crosshairs, you can select a color, you can change the RGB color directly, you can change the size, you can also change the color using a color wheel. That's awesome. So if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And if you want to access the code or the assets of this tutorial or looking for help, you can check our Patreon in the description. And if you want to enhance your verse programming skills, you can also check our verse programming course in Udemy in the description as well. Let's continue with the tutorial. Hi everyone, today we'll be doing a colorable crosshair tutorial. So I'll be showing you this advanced device, so advanced version of our previous crosshair device. So with this one you can do a lot of customization and you can do a lot of cool stuff that I have never seen on any other device like this. So let me show you, let me walk through you the things that you need to set first. So you need to, of course, there are a bunch of editable fields that you need to set. But first, we have two arrays, so a texture array and a color array. So basically, if you want to customize the textures of the crosshair, you need to change these textures, or you can add here, or if you want to, change the predetermined colors, you can change these. And these also include these textures. So this is a tuple, so it includes a texture and a float. So it's an aspect ratio x over y. So basically, in this device, player can change to a custom crosshair, like change its color to anything they want, and they can also change the size of it. But even though that they can change the size of it, it still should adhere to the aspect ratio of the crosshair so that it looks nice, even though its size gets smaller or larger. It should not matter. So by using this aspect ratio information, we are scaling up or down in the game the texture itself, right? So we have the image selection and color selection helper classes. So both are similar stuff. This is for selecting the crosshair textures. This is for selecting the predetermined colors. So you can either do it by an objective device, so by just firing at it with a weapon, or through a button, or you can do both. With this tutorial, I'll be mostly using firing, and because that's just more fun. And don't think that you can't use firing because you don't want people eliminating each other in the lobby or anything. So let me actually show you. This is the example scene that I've set up. So we have two world textures that you can set. So basically, we have all of our crosshair textures on this, and we have all our predetermined colors on this. So this is just, each plane is just one big texture, but of course we have all these crosshairs as separate textures as well, because we need to put them on the screen when player chooses them. So by using this mutator zone, which is called damage disabling zone, players just can't enable each other. Players can't eliminate each other in this zone. The code that we have in this device won't allow it. So all you need to do is just set this to make sure that it's allow weapon fire, so that players can shoot at this plane and select things. And this is the color wheel that we have. So the color wheel, basically player can shoot at the color wheel and then pick a color. Of course they can pick a color from these, and they can then increase, they can just basically customize the RGB value of the color by shooting at these shooting at these images, either increase or decrease it. Of course they can increase or decrease the size as well. So all of these planes are just objective devices. So you'll just need to set the custom mesh to a plane, and you just need to put them just a little bit forwards of this plane here, so that it can detect the hit, because it needs to be forward for that. At the end front of the texture for that. So then we have two classes. So this is because we want to default crosshair when the player doesn't have a custom crosshair, and we want a custom crosshair to be gone when the player selects a custom crosshair. So basically you need two HUD controllers for that. So the first one needs to work with class slot 1, and it should be the default HUD controller, and this should be the second one. This should not, so it should not display reticles. And then you need to set the you need to have two these are the class selector devices. So you need to have the default crosshair class selector class slot to 1, and the custom crosshair class selector class slot to 2, and then you need to have the class designer, default class designer just 1, and custom class designer to 2, custom crosshair class designer, whatever. And yeah, and then you need to, when you set the class selectors to the device, it'll just the device will handle the class switching, so it will hide and show the default crosshair when it's required. So we have an array of image selections and color selections. As I said, we just use them to be able to select these predetermined colors and predetermined textures on them. So as you can see, these don't have like a texture index or a texture field or a color index or a color field in itself. It basically follows the indexing on this plane. So from it starts at the top left and goes to the bottom right. Same with these, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those colors are the same ones here. So basically, when you change something here or change something here or add it, you would want to like something that corresponds to it in your world, so that it makes sense visually to the players. And the selection classes themselves will just, according to their order in the array, they will just pull the value from these arrays. So the first image selection, for example, will get the first value from here, and the first color selection is going to get the first value from here. And those are those. So this is a crosshair starting size. You can set this to anything. To be honest, anything you like. It doesn't matter that much because players can adjust their crosshair size. So this is the size change step. So the size change step is the crosshair size, and the RGB change step. So I advise you to, actually the default values are 1, but I advise you to set it to something higher, because what we have, because 1 is just basically too small, so you won't be able to see the changes easily. The player needs to like shoot at the buttons a lot. So I set the size change step to 4 and the RGB change step to 10. I think these are pretty good enough numbers, but you can experiment with those numbers. And then for the color wheel, we have a objective device. We need a plane in front of the color wheel so that we can detect a hit, and then we have the radius of the color wheel. So you need to set this manually. So according to the size of your plane, right? So according to the size of your plane, whatever it is, your color wheel is going to change its change its size, right? So let me show you again, right? It will change size with the plane. So what you need to do is you need to manually calculate that radius. So I just put a little spheres right here, one at the center and one at the edge. so they have the same x and y, and if you just if you just get the difference in their z value, you can see that it's just 87, and I just set the 87 here. And then that's all you need to do, because we need that radius information. Well, you might think that the plane is just enough, but we actually need that radius information. And these are just button devices, and maybe this is maybe button or maybe fired objective devices for the. This is just these 6 buttons here for the RGB, right? Increase, decrease, increase, increase, decrease, increase, decrease. So 6 buttons. We have like 2 devices for each. So we have so we have actually, yeah, we have 12 of them, and then we have 4 other for the crosshair size, increase, decrease. As I said, I'm just using the firing option for all of them, but just for the remove to show you how it works, I'm using both the firing option and the button option. So this is the button to remove the custom crosshair, and that's there, and that's the damage disabling on, and that's it for you to set the device and use it. But I will now show the entire thing as well and go over it somehow explain and overall give you an overall explanation on how it works. So for each player we store their crosshair and its color and size. So these selection classes just basically propagate the event that they take from these devices, and they give an additional parameter to the main device to just say, hey, this specific texture or this specific color was just shot at. And yeah, it's the same. And then it's on begin. Here we just basically init bunch of those events. So this is, you might see these as a lot, but it is just the repetition of the same RGB increase decrease button stuff, right? We just listening on the events of the objective device or the button, just same thing for all of it, the same thing repeated, right? So this is where we reset the crosshair. So we just remove it, we switch to the default crosshair class, and then we remove the widget. And when the player, this is when the player joins, so we just make sure that they're on the default crosshair class. We initialize their data, and then we are listening on their damaged event. This is because we want to. So this is the basic. This is the actual damage disabling code. So we just, if the player is in the volume, we just set their health and shield to max, so they can't be damaged. So this is the probably most unique, the most special part of this device. This is the color wheel hit detection code. So basically, from the location of the player, when we know that the plane was hit, we know it from this event, and then from the location and the view direction of the player, we basically simulate an array on top of the plane, and then we know here we are exiting because the hit distance was greater than the radius. So we find a hit location, right? And then using that hit location, we get its coordinate on the color wheel itself, so on the circle, because this hit location is just some world location and we can't really use it. We need some circle specific, some location local to the circle, and from that we get the angle of that. What do you say? So you basically get some location of a line on the circle. So you basically, when you get, for example, you get this location here, you basically get this line here, right? So here we convert so here we calculate the angle of that line. So in this case, for example, this will be 90. Of course, that's in degrees. In radians, it will be different. This works in radians. So actually, this is not testing anymore. So we do a little bit rotation with the color wheel, and then using that angle we have, and then using the distance to the center of the radius, we calculate our color from the HSV function, and then we change the color. And okay, so these are just repeated functions. These are just event color functions. These are all the same thing. These are for RGB increase decrease buttons, right? You can just see from the values. B value increase on fire, B value increase on button, decrease, and yeah, and these are the same. These are for increasing and decreasing the size. And then we come to update Crosshair RGB. Basically, all of these just call this update RGB. Here we calculate the new RGB values. We make sure we clamp them, and we just change the color, right? And this is the size change function. So we just change the size, and using the aspect ratios of this texture, we are setting the new size. So this is the crosshair texture function where we set the crosshair texture. So we get the texture from the array, and using the aspect ratio on the current size, we're calculating the actual size of this texture, and then we are creating the canvas, and then we are setting the texture on the canvas. And so yeah, and this is the first case when the canvas is not created. This is where we do it, and after that we are just using that same thing, because for this one we have maybe the most simplest canvas that we have up to this video, because this is just one widget. So at the center we just have the crosshair texture, and that's it. That's the entire canvas. And then we do a set crosshair color. This is for the we have the RGB, but this is for the direct color selection. So we call this both on when you hit on the predetermined colors, or when you hit on the color wheel. And we just calculate the RGB again, and then we set the color. All right, and that's it for the code. Let me just scroll up slowly for you to see all of it. So these are the functions at the bottom that do the actual job. These small functions here, they just propagate the events, so they don't do any logics. They are just repetitions of each other. So this is the actual font function that creates the color from a color wheel. And yeah, the other functions here. Then we go to initialization stuff in the begin. Again, bunch of event listening. And then we come to editables. And then we come to the helper classes. And then we have our agent data, and then we have our data arrays. Okay. All right, that was all of the code. Now let me show you what we have as an. Okay, where is it? All right. Okay, this is it. So this is the entire thing, entire assets that we have for this tutorial. Of course, you can use your own thing, and I think it would be easier to switch the specific textures. But I think we have a lot of nice textures for this one, so you can access the code or these assets from our Patreon. And so we have world textures that we put on the planes, right? And we also have the settings textures that we put on the planes in the world. Okay, so as you can see, these are actually so there is a thing that we do when you come to the materials. These are not actually straightforward materials because we have empty white spaces around the textures. This is because we need to set the sizes as a we need to have a like a power of 2 textures. So that's why we have empty white spaces around them. So what we do is basically we set the material blend mode to masked, and we are using alpha channel as an opacity mask so that the white areas around here is not shown, and we just set the RGB channel to the base color, and that's it. And as you can see, actually this plane is actually larger than this. It's not really apparent, but you might realize from these that the planes actually have the same size, right? The same scale, but they have, like, visually they have different sizes. That's because these two textures have like a different amount of white space around them. So that's some important thing that you need to know. Then let me show you, and actually I already show you how to set all of these, right? You just have the objective devices in front of them for each, and you make sure that they are not visible in the game and they are invulnerable. That's also important. You don't want them to be destroyed. And you basically set all of these editables. I mean, you don't need to set the buttons. For most, you just are good with the objective, just be good with the objective devices, right? And then, all right, let me start the game, and I'll show you how it works during a playtest. All right, now I'll get my bunch of guns because of I forgot to set the ammo to infinite. Okay, I think we're good. Now let me show you how. Let me show you that this damage disabling zone works. So you see that I'm inside the zone, so the turret can't damage me. So I hit remove, nothing happens because I don't have a custom crosshair. So at the moment that I hit one of them, I get the custom crosshair and the default crosshair is gone, and it's back when I hit remove again. So I can hit any crosshair. I like this one. This one is cool as well. Right, so let's get this one, and then I can hit any of these to get the color, and I can like hit on the RGB to change the RGB value of the colors, right? And I can hit on the crosshair size to change the size, and I can also use by button. So the most beautiful part is the color wheel, and you can just shoot at it and just set the crosshair color directly like that. I think that's a lot of fun. And actually, so let me go back a little bit and let me show you the entire thing. And remember the alpha channel thing. So actually you can see that I can't walk through because there's actually the plane itself here, but because the texture has like white spaces around it, but we are setting it to the alpha channel so it's not visible. And that was all. To access the code or the assets of this video, you can check our Patreon. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you've enjoyed. And also leave a comment on what tutorial you would want to see next. See you later.